Hi, good evening, everyone, and thanks again for joining a pillar of the community. In today's program, we're quite excited to have Mr. Donnovan Simon from the Jamaican Canadian Association out in Alberta. And, they're a very dynamic and active group out in Alberta with the different communities out there and have their different programs. And so today, we're quite happy to have Mr. Donnovan on the program. Welcome, Donnovan.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, great. So let's get right into it. Tell me exactly about the Jamaican Canadian Association, how it all started, and what are some of the good things that you guys have done, and who's involved in this organization.
Sure. So the JCAA started way back in 1980. It was a spin-off from what was previously a Caribbean association here in Calgary, where people who had migrated from the Caribbean wanted to have a sense of belonging, and they formed an association. Then, as the immigrant population grew, there was a consensus that the individual islands should form their own ethnocultural association, and the JCAA was born out of that in 1980. We got registered in 1982 under the Societies Act of Alberta, and through that we got recognition from the government. There are a number of benefits that we get through that, and the association has primarily been in place to support the assimilation of primarily Jamaicans as they move into the Calgary area, but also open to the extended family. So others who become involved, whether through marriage or through business or other reasons with Jamaicans. So the name Jamaican Canadian reflected the need to be partnering with or acknowledging our Canadian identity while also maintaining our culture. So for 40 years, we've been in the community doing a number of different things, and we can discuss that a little bit more.
Wow. So for 40 years, you guys have been around, eh? It
Yeah.
must have been. Were you involved since inception, or when did you join?
No, I've only been in Calgary for 20 years, and I've been involved in the association for 19 of those 20 years in
Wow.
different capacities. But people have been around in Calgary, or Jamaicans migrated to Calgary from the early or the late 50s.
Okay.
And we benefited from what I call the east-west migration, where a number of Jamaicans, primarily skilled professionals in the early days, teachers, etc.,
Right.
coming to
Right.
Canada to capitalize on opportunity, landed in Toronto and Montreal, and moved across to Alberta based on opportunities. And especially in the early 90s, when there was a boom in the economy, a lot of people chose to move over to Alberta, and the JCAA benefited from that migration. A lot of the people continue to move based on economic activity and also based on family, right? So therefore, the association is that representative of multi-generational Jamaicans here in Calgary.
Wow. Okay, that's good. So, were you guys ever able to trace back, like, who is the first person you guys had from the
You know,
Caribbean
we,
out in
we, we,
Alberta?
we've tried to do that. I don't think we have been successful, but we were able to identify some of the early Jamaicans
Right.
that were here, right?
Okay.
And it's an interesting story to hear what it was like migrating back in 1958 and what Calgary looked like, uh,
Right.
and also the different social and cultural issues that they had to contend with, right, which are so different from today.
And that would be interesting, right? Because in 1958, you know, I don't know, travel wasn't as it is today,
Yeah,
right? And you're coming from Jamaica. For people who don't know, people who are not familiar with Jamaica, Jamaica is just south of Florida, of the Keys, maybe about an hour and a half flight south
yeah, yeah,
of the
thereabout,
Keys.
yeah.
Yeah. So, for those people flying in those days, if you were to be flying from Jamaica, it took. I mean, you had to have some special sort of, something to carry out to Alberta because, I can see the people coming to Florida or even coming up to Toronto, but then
Yeah.
to move across to Alberta is like another journey.
It's a long trip. It is still a long trip today. But
Right.
like I said, most people landed and stayed either in Montreal or Toronto. right?
Right.
And what what I know from looking at some of the migration patterns was Montreal was very popular for Caribbean migration back in the early days, based on our Haitian brothers and sisters. So they moved into Quebec, and many of our Jamaicans followed, and then of course Toronto continued to grow the Jamaican and Caribbean population, and then we started seeing the east-west migration. So most of the people from the early days didn't necessarily come straight to Alberta like would like today. Like myself, I moved directly to Calgary from Jamaica. But based on what I've heard from the older folks, that wasn't necessarily what happened back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Right. Right. So tell me, when this organization first started, what was some of the like in those early programs that you guys would have had?
That's another great question. In the early days, like I said, a lot of our early members were teachers. And I've heard over and over that they had school programs, learning programs to support the community. One of the things I know for our association was Saturday school. That was a big thing back in the 80s into the early 90s, where the teachers provided additional tutoring in different subjects for the Jamaican students and Caribbean students overall, right, in order to assist them in being successful in the education system, especially because the standards were a little bit different for those who were migrating, and also because they had to deal with the systemic issues that weren't always very clear or easy to navigate. And therefore, the school programs were very, very popular and ran for many years. So that's one big program. The other thing that was done was cultural programs, right? I'll talk about something called Taste of Jamaica, but it started as a little bit of a potluck to share the Jamaican culinary culture with the Calgarians who would not have understood some of these things, but also the
Yeah.
Jamaicans who were coming who wanted a little piece of home, right, every now and then.
Right.
So these little programs developed into annual events,
Right.
right, that were shared with the community.
Yeah, bringing jerk chicken to Calgary. I mean, a lot of spice, bringing some heat to that part of the country, right?
Yeah, jerk chicken, Jamaican patties, ackee, and saltfish, right?
Right.
And therefore, for over 30 years, we have had an event here called Taste of Jamaica, which has
Right.
become a calendar event. In fact, for a number of years, it was listed as one of the events in Calgary that everybody should attend, right? Where for a day, we showcase Jamaican culture, Jamaican food, Jamaican art, Jamaican music, Jamaican dance. Of course, we mix a number of our Caribbean brothers and sisters into it, right? So it's not just jerk chicken, but there's roti, there's soca music, etc., right? But the Taste of Jamaica became this event that people look forward to, where for one day, both for Jamaicans and non-Jamaicans, they were able to share in that culture through this particular program. In that program, also, we ensured that the different generations could relate to the different elements of the culture. So the kids who were born here of Jamaican parents and the grandkids, we had special programs for them to learn patois, for example, the Jamaican dialect, to understand Jamaican poetry, Jamaican art, and sharing all of that in this big event. It became the single largest Jamaican event in Western Canada.
Wow, that's fantastic. To bring that in, and of course, all that good food. So you mentioned something there about you collaborating with some of the other West Indian
Mhm.
cultures. So what are some of the other organizations that you guys would get together with? Like is there an association from Trinidad or Guyana or out there?
There is. In fact, about 4 years ago, I was part of the group that set up something here called the Caribbean Presidents Forum, where the island associations meet on a regular basis, monthly, to look at issues that affect us and to plan programs. And for the last 4 years, we have done a number of things. So, for example, we celebrate Black History Month together. So we have a Caribbean Black History Month celebration. We also have a Caribbean Youth Summit, and we also partner with something called the Caribbean Heritage Sports Day, which is held in September, where all the different Caribbean islands come together to, yes, celebrate our culture. In some cases, we compete. And also there are other festivals that we support. There's CariFest here in Calgary, which while the base of it is soca and calypso, etc., all the island associations get together. So we have 10 island associations here in Calgary, and we work together to promote our collective culture so that Calgary can benefit from that collaboration.
Wow, yeah, you guys seem to be quite active. Do you do this full time, or is this a voluntary thing?
It is voluntary, I tell you.
Wow, wow. So do you guys, I mean, I know you speak about these 10 organizations that sort of collaborate and stuff. Do you guys collaborate with any other, maybe any other Caribbean organization out here in the East, in Toronto on this side?
Yes. So the Jamaican Association has been, and let's give COVID some credit. Since COVID, we have done a number of things collectively. Uh,
Right.
we have collaborated with JCA Ontario, JCA Montreal, JCA Manitoba, BC, all the way to Nova Scotia on a providing relief for Jamaicans in Canada who were suffering the ill effects of the pandemic, but also to celebrate our independence. So for the last number of years, 2 years, we have had virtual showcases of our culture as a collective group. We've called it Jamaicans Coast to Coast in Canada, where we get together, we plan these events, we host them virtually, but each one represents the different territory or the different province and what is happening in that area. The other thing that we have also done is work with other organizations to do relief work for issues or programs back in Jamaica. So I know JCA Toronto, for example, was doing a backpack program, a back to school program last year, and we supported them with that initiative. So COVID has brought out more cross-Canadian collaboration with the Jamaican associations across the different provinces.
Wow. Okay. So that's fantastic to see that you guys are, doing all this stuff, bringing the Caribbean to the north.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right, that's good. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a program with, I guess it's a YouTube sort of channel you guys have called What a Guan. The first question is translate that title for me.
What a guan? Yeah,
It's
what a
called
guan.
What a Guan. Translate
Yeah,
that.
in the Queen's English, it would be what's happening. Uh, in maybe a looser English term, it would be what's going on. But in Jamaican patois, it's what a guan. And it's a program that we started a little under 2 years ago. But it was preceded by a little series we did called Journey, a little video series where we wanted to capture the experience of Jamaicans who had moved to Calgary and what was their motivation, what were their challenges, what were the things that they learned, and how could they assist others as they planned the sojourn to Calgary. And from that, developed this weekly program where we wanted to share what was happening within our association, within our city, within our country. And we talked about topics that affect Jamaicans, Canadians, people all across the world. We stream it on Facebook and YouTube. For a little while, we did it on Instagram, where we bring guests in to discuss issues that affect not just Jamaicans, but Caribbean people, Black people, and people all across the world. We wanted to ensure that we were making a positive contribution, especially when the pandemic hit, to provide an avenue for expression, but also an avenue for information that our members or community could benefit from. And you know what? It has taken on a life of its own. It's grown. We have had, I think in the last year, over 50,000 views of these videos. And we continue to grow it. Right now, we're working on making it a national program in partnership. So you talked about partnership earlier. So we're partnering with JCA Toronto, JCA Montreal, Winnipeg, and Vancouver to bring more content to Wataguan, right? And what I can say is that it appeals to people all across. So I know members from the St. Lucia and the Trinidadian, the Barbados, who else? Haitian, all kinds of associations who are a part of it and who come on the program from time to time to share what is happening in their associations and in their community.
Wow, that's good. Maybe we can collaborate because this program that we're on here, Pillar of the Community, is
Mhm.
on an IPTV station called Caribbean Showtime TV. Maybe
Mhm.
what we can do is that we can have your program air on here as well, but we can talk about that
Oh yeah,
afterwards.
for sure. We
You know,
we want to spread the information as wide as we can. So always looking for partnerships.
yeah, that would be great. That would be good. So, in terms of other programs that you guys offer and you have, I see that you guys offer a scholarship.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about this scholarship program and what it offers, and who are some of the people who may have actually participated or actually gotten this scholarship.
That's great. Like I said, back in the early days, and even now, education has been a part of our focus, a part of our purpose as an association. And the scholarship program started off to support those who chose to go to tertiary institutions. The scholarships were primarily funded through the disbursements we get from the Alberta Gaming and Lotteries Commission that supports community organizations like ours. Today, our scholarships are $1,000 each. They're awarded to individuals who are in tertiary institutions here in Canada, who are residents in Alberta. And the criteria that we use for selection is their academic performance, their contribution to the community, and something that we call a personal story, where we ask them to explain to us why should we help and what are your dreams and goals for doing your academic pursuits. This year, we introduced an additional scholarship called the Jamaican International Student Scholarship, where we fund a scholarship again for $1,000 to a Jamaican student, and a Jamaican international student who is here in Alberta studying. And part of all of this is to be a positive contributor to our community, and also ensuring that we promote education and academic pursuit in addition to all the other things that we promote. Over the years, it's hard to put a number. I know in the last 5 years, we have issued easily over 25 scholarships. Each year, it varies in the number of scholarships that we issue because it's dependent on our budget. But the minimum we issue each year is 4 scholarships.
Right. Okay. Good. So, how do you get funding, not only for the scholarship program, but for the organization itself? How do you guys go about raising funds?
Funding is always an interesting challenge. We get funding through, I'm going to say, 3 primary sources. Like I mentioned, the Alberta Gaming and Lotteries Commission supports nonprofit and societies here in Alberta, where we volunteer our time at casinos. And through that volunteering, we benefit from the disbursements that are made by the LGLC. And this supports a lot of our core programs. There are some criteria that we need to meet in order to use these funds. The other things that we do are fundraising. I mentioned Taste of Jamaica earlier. Taste of Jamaica is one of our primary fundraisers, but we do a number of other things. We have a New Year's Eve gala. We have different food events. This year we had a drive-through food event. So a lot of different creative ideas are applied to our fundraising. And then the other thing that we do is apply for grants. There are a number of different grants. So this year we were working at our building renovation. In fact, launching our new building. We acquired a new building for the first time at the end of 2019, and we were building it out into a facility to serve the community. So we applied for a number of grants at the federal, provincial, and municipal level to support that. But a number of our programs come from grants, both from government level organizations or entities, and also from the private sector. So, for example, one program that we have done in the last 2 years is our community backpack initiative, where we provide backpacks and school supplies to members of our community. And this year we had a grant from TD Canada to assist us in fulfilling that. And there are a number of other entities that we apply to for grants from time to time to support different programs and initiatives that we do. We do something called the Youth Art Workshop, where we bring youth in and we get a professional artist to help them to understand and express the culture through art.
Right.
And that again is something that we'd apply for a municipal grant to support. right? Because of the ethnocultural nature of it.
Wow. Okay. So that's good. That's good, man. There's lots of organizations out here, and one of their biggest challenge is raising funds to sustain their programs. But you
It is
guys,
a challenge. So the fact that we have done it successful in the last little bit doesn't change the fact that it is a challenge. But there's a need for creativity. There's the need for structure. One of the things we try to do is to have a very clear vision of what we're trying to achieve, so that we don't get caught trying to do too much, right? And also that we have a very clear, defined budget to support what we're doing, and therefore that allows us to be more successful in targeting these funds and this getting them and executing on the programs.
right, right. Now, what about programs? Do you guys do any program, or do you guys have any plans of doing programs where you offer some sort of relocation training? So if you have Jamaicans coming to Alberta, you help them with relocation, finding a place maybe, or finding a job if they want to relocate, or even not necessarily coming from this side of Canada, but maybe even coming from Jamaica itself. Do you guys have any program in place that
You
deals
know
with that?
what? Yeah, that's an awesome question. Yes. So we have always been supporting Jamaicans relocating to Canada. We've done it in different ways over the years. A couple of years ago, I mentioned the video series called Journey, and that was one initiative to support Jamaicans who were moving to Calgary. A complement to Journey was something within our organization we call the Friends Program, where members of our organization offered to be quote unquote friends to Jamaicans who are moving to the city for a specific time period to assist them in settling in. And that settling in would include finding the resources that they need. The barber, where is the Jamaican food store? Where are the churches? How do you apply for a job? We also would partner with the Center for Newcomers. So that's another social organization here in Calgary. And they, when a Jamaican is new to the city, would point them to us, and vice versa. When we identify a new Jamaican, we'd point them to that resource and others in order to assist them. It has worked, I think, quite well, and we still have members who have stuck around with us because they got introduced to a friend through that particular program. We have done a number of other things. People have reached out to us for Jamaicans who are abandoned through work programs, etc., and we help them to find accommodation. We connect them with social services, etc. So it's something that we continue to do, and that is something that I think will always do, because the part of the purpose of the association is to give Jamaicans who move here a place that is similar to home, somebody that they can speak to in the same language, somebody who has been here, done that, who can help them to make their transition a little bit easier, and more than anything, that they can feel a part of the community in a number of different ways.
Good. Yeah, that's good. That you have that program. So where you guys, help people coming from, whether it's other parts of Canada or even from Jamaica, where you can help them get settled in and show them the ropes, so to speak.
Right.
What about that is people coming from Jamaica or coming from here into Alberta? What about the other way around? Do you guys connect with anybody out in Jamaica, any charitable organization, any non-profit organizations, and you work together with them to maybe help out in sending donations down to them? Is there any sort of program in place like that?
Oh, yes. I mean, every year we are constantly looking at ways that we can support Jamaica. One of our core purposes is to support our community, and that includes the Jamaicans here, but Jamaica as well. And we have partnered with a number of organizations to support initiatives in Jamaica. We have partnered with the Rotary Club here in Calgary, Rotary Club in Jamaica, Rotary International, and a number of projects in Jamaica focused on education and health. So we have supported initiatives to provide equipment to the Bustamante Children's Hospital in Jamaica. We have supported initiatives to support the Hanover Educational Institute at a vocational training center. And we have also worked with our High Commissioner recently to support the Tablets Initiative because of COVID and the number of students that require online learning and working from are working from home or doing school from home, to get them the tablets that they could work on, because not everybody had a device. So we're constantly looking at initiatives. We have supported large initiatives. I know in the last 5 years, we have easily supported to the tune of about 20,000 Canadian dollars, these different initiatives in Jamaica. And there are small ones that we do too, right? Right now, we're going to have a discussion with our exec team about a clothes drive to send clothes back to Jamaica. That was brought to us by a member of the community. We have supported little initiatives like basic schools, back to school, building a little bathroom. There are a range of different things that we do, and we're always every year allocating funds to support initiatives back home.
Yeah, good. That's great. But when you have to support these charities back home, you like you said, you're doing the clothing drive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doesn't it cost like quite a bit to ship from Alberta all the way back to Jamaica?
I don't know if it's any more than in from Toronto or Montreal. And
Okay.
what we try to do is to work through, whether it's our consul general or high commission, which would allow for either concessionary rates. There are many shippers that are doing this all the time for commercial shipping, so we partner with them in order to get these things done. And like I mentioned earlier, we work through agencies like Rotary, who would have the feet on the ground to support the program at the other end. So it doesn't become as cumbersome as in time past, right? Because it is pretty common. So if you think of a number of relief initiatives, and I can tell you we support other Caribbean countries too. So Haiti, we have supported them with earthquake disaster support, St. Vincent with the volcano recently. So we're always looking at, how can we as a group benefit from what others have learned and work through agencies that are doing these things every day.
Yeah. Here's an idea for you. I was living in Turks and Caicos for the last couple of years, and one program that we tried to do, it didn't quite come off. But what happens is here in Canada, the library system changes out their books every couple of years.
Oh, okay.
And not only their books, but things like computers and stuff like that. And so I had contacted the library. It was the Mississauga Library.
Mm-hmm.
And they were quite willing to donate the books, and for whatever they've changed it, to donate those books to Turks and Caicos. So maybe it's something you guys
That's
can
an
look at.
interesting one, because
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I mentioned our building project. So we are just in the final stages of finishing up this building that we have built out in the last 18 months. And one component of our building is a resource room and library. And our goal is to build the single largest collection of books by Jamaican and Afro-Caribbean authors in Canada. So we are definitely interested in getting this content so that we have a resource and a legacy that members of our community, but anybody, quite frankly, can come into and benefit from.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of literary work, both academic and fictional, that have come from the Caribbean that we think is something that we can showcase. And that's an element of our building.
Yeah, because so anybody doing research on
Yes.
Jamaica or the Caribbean, it can be easy if you have it all there in one library.
Yeah.
It's easier to access rather than have to go down to the
There you
Caribbean
go.
and visit their library.
That's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're fastly running out of time. But tell me something. How do someone become involved in your organization?
That's we're open to everybody. That's the first thing I want to say. It's an inclusive organization. It's open to anybody who is a Jamaican or Canadian, anybody who is interested in Jamaica. You can become a member easily on our website. We go to jcaalberta.com and you can sign up for membership. And as a member, there are a number of benefits in addition to just being a part of the community, right? We have partnerships with community businesses that will provide discounts. There is the networking benefit, and there's also access to the partnerships that we have created. So whether it's partnerships with Jamaican entities like JAMPRO, the Tourist Board, or High Commission, or the partnerships that we have forged with our Caribbean associations and African partners as well, or other social organizations. And the last but not least are the programs and events that we put on that the members, their families, their friends can benefit from. The membership rates are very nominal. It's an annual rate. All of this is available on our website that people can jump on and benefit from, jcaalberta.com.
Good. And thank you very much. I was now going to ask you what is the website? We've spoken about the website and all the information there. Anyway, Donnovan, it was a pleasure having you on the program today. And thank you for taking the time and sharing all that information. And you guys seem to have, you guys seem to have it all in pack. Basically, you guys know what you're doing. I mean, you've survived, what, 40 years, 50 years?
Well, we've been around for 40 years. I think we've done a few things right.
Exactly. So to be around for 40 years, you're doing something right. So congratulations.
Well, yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure to share. Glad that we can be a part of this, and hopefully we can support each other and find other ways to partner going forward.
Exactly. Yep. Same here. Well, anyway, Donnovan, thank you very much again. And, we will hopefully we can probably have you back, or we can collaborate on some program going forward in the future. But it was certainly a pleasure having you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you as well.
Very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was our program. That was our little talk with Mr. Donnovan Simon, who is the president of the Jamaican Canadian Association out in Alberta, Canada. The city is Calgary. They're located in Calgary. And so we hope that the program was a little bit informative to you, and that you were able to learn something and understand something. And please feel free to reach out to them. And, you can, whether it's an organization or an individual, collaborate with them, or if you need further information. But thank you very much for looking, and take care. We'll see you on our next program. Have a good day.
Before we ever talk to you, the girl never really still. So let me see your hands up, so